the U.S. and Israel are at odds over the fate of Gaza after the war. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says Gaza should be led by Palestinians. Israel's government strongly disagrees.
Meanwhile, signs of a wider war are gaining ground. The recent killing of a high-ranking Hezbollah leader in Lebanon could mean that Israel is looking beyond Gaza. Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem.
On Tuesday morning, Secretary Blinken met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The secretary on a diplomatic mission meeting with leaders in the Middle East to discuss the war and the future of the region. Meeting with reporters before his arrival in Israel, Blinken outlined what he says they agree on about Gaza's future after the war. First, that Israel must have peace and security.
Second, that the West Bank and Gaza should be united under Palestinian-led governance. Third, the future of the region needs to be one of integration, not division and not conflict. And fourth, for that to happen, we need to see the establishment of an independent Palestinian state.
However, that's a sticking point for Israel. While the U.S. and others support a Palestinian-led Gaza, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and his government are against it. While the debate over Gaza's future continues, the growing tension between Israel and Lebanon may direct the course of the war. Blinken and others are trying to de-escalate the low-scale war between Israel and Hezbollah diplomatically. But Benny Gantz, a member of Israel's war cabinet, says time is running out for diplomacy, since nearly 100,000 residents of northern Israel can't return home. Concerns rose on Monday following the assassination of Wissam al-Tawil, the highest-ranking Hezbollah official to be killed since October 7th, and a nephew of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah. Also on Monday, Hamas fired the biggest barrage of rockets since the beginning of the year. That as Israel's military campaign continues to uncover Hamas's terror infrastructure. On Monday, the IDF released footage of the largest weapons production site found in the Gaza Strip since the beginning of the war, used to produce long-range missiles capable of reaching northern Israel.
Chris Mitchell joins us now from Jerusalem. So, Chris, the U.S. is now pushing for a Palestinian government in Gaza. What action will the PA take if it controls it?
Well, Gordon, right now the U.S. is calling for a quote-unquote revitalized Palestinian Authority. On the other hand, the Palestinian Authority is saying what revitalize means is that they actually want to join forces with Hamas. That's exactly what Jibril Rajoub, he's a top PA leader, and he said, speaking on behalf of the PA leadership and the Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. So the risk of a PA, after the Gaza war is over, is that they would actually form a government with Hamas. That's what they want to do. So on this issue, the PA and the U.S. are really worlds apart. So the PA is telling the world they want to be more extreme, while the U.S. is saying a Palestinian state is going to solve Gaza the day after the war. And, Gordon, that's why here in Israel, they're saying they won't allow the PA to take over Gaza. I don't know of anyone in the government who supports that idea, and especially after nearly 30 years of the Oslo peace process, this whole idea of giving land away for peace, and that's what happened in the Gaza Strip, and especially after October 7th, no Israeli leader that I know of is advocating a Palestinian state. That's why the U.S. and Israel are at odds right now. I did hear a solution in Gaza that I heard earlier today, is use the clans in Gaza and many of the families to start new. Itamar Marcus from the Palestinian Media Watch was talking to me about that idea. He says these leaders of the clans and the families are the people who really care about the Palestinians.
Well, walk us through the history of this, because you go back to 2006 and the supposed free elections in Gaza, and they actually elected Hamas. They elected a terrorist group, and that was a surprise to the Bush administration, certainly a surprise to the State Department. I think they expected some kind of Arab Spring and let us all live in peace. But Hamas has been against Fatah, the ruling party, and the Palestinian Authority ever since. How big of a sea change is this that the PA would now say we can be in the same government as Hamas?
Well, you know, they've been trying to have a compromise between Hamas and Fatah probably since 2006. As you mentioned, it was Hamas that did win that election in 2006. And then in 2007, they overthrew Fatah in a bloody coup. And so I don't think that's going to happen, actually. I think right now the Fatah, which is the political party of the Palestinian Authority, is seeing an opportunity here to have a weakened Hamas join forces with them. And then if you go back a little further, Gordon, you know the history as well. 2005, that's actually when Israel pulled out of the Gaza Strip, the so-called disengagement, where 9,000 Israelis out of 21 communities pulled out of Gaza, and then they left it for the Palestinian Authority, taken over by Hamas. And now we see what happened in 2023 on October 7th. Really, during that time, they developed the largest terror base in the world there in Gaza, exactly what IDF is dismantling right now.
Well, let's talk about the two-state solution. Is the State Department just turning a blind eye to what the Palestinians are saying, that they don't want a two-state solution? They want to drive Israel to the sea. Why are we still hearing that? It doesn't make any sense to me that they would completely ignore what the Palestinians are saying.
I don't understand that either, Gordon, and especially when this is public information. It's what the leaders like Jabril Rajoub, whether it's Mahmoud Abbas, that are saying exactly what they want to do. And it's completely at odds as what the United States State Department is saying. They want a Palestinian state. Well, the Palestinians are saying exactly what they want that state to look like. So why the disconnect? I'm not sure. I did, as I mentioned earlier, Itamar Marcus from the Palestinian Media Watch, I was talking to him about this. He said he did meet with a State Department official, actually, that is on the entourage with Blinken, and he explained some of this. But why the disconnect? It's really hard to understand because the PA makes it very, very clear exactly what they want to say.
Well, I think the State Department is actually emboldening the cry from the river to the sea. And this isn't anything new and anything particular to one administration. It just seems to be going on and on and on, where we have to fund UNRWA, we have to fund the Palestinian Authority, we have to hold on to this illusion of peace. All at the same time, the ideology is being taught to children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, that you have to go out and kill Israelis. I'm sorry, I'm getting really frustrated here that when are they going to wake up? Let's turn to Hezbollah. What can you tell us about the Hezbollah leader killed in the attack yesterday?
Well, Gordon, he was recently appointed as the commander of the Wadwan unit. And that's very important because that's sort of the Hezbollah Special Forces units. There's thousands of them and very important group there. And if we see anything opening up in the northern border, we're likely to see that the Wadwan group is going to be part of that tip of the spear coming against Israel. He was a friend of General Soleimani, who was killed by the U.S. a few years ago. He was also a nephew of Hassan Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah. And so a very important figure. Retaliation, Hezbollah bombed the IDF's Northern Command. And so this is something that's just raising the tension up there on the northern border.
How likely do you see the war will turn into a two-front war, that Israel will launch an attack against Hezbollah?
Gordon, it seems just a matter of time. I was up on the northern border over the weekend. I was talking to people in the Galilee. What I heard over and over is they don't really see any way out except for a war. And the expression I heard over and over was, will the North open up and erupt into a major war? Part of the reason is that the residents of the North, and there's about 100,000 of them, they won't go back until it's safe. Not necessarily when there's quiet, but when Hezbollah is no longer a threat. Now, right now, Israel wants Hezbollah to comply with what's called the UN Resolution 1701 that says Hezbollah has to withdraw 18 miles from the border. Now, that's a potential diplomatic solution, but the IDF chief spokesman is saying if diplomacy doesn't work, Israel's going to defend itself through force of arms. And Gordon, one ominous sign in a recent speech, Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, said, quote, there is a need to prepare for war without constraints, without limits. Some interpret that to mean weapons of mass destruction. So certainly an important time, as always, to pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Yeah, we join with you. And Chris, please stay safe. CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, thanks you so much for your insight, and thank you for your